helping you with Acorn and RISC-OS computing.
Good evening, all.
Evening, yes, that's fine. Yeah, we can hear you.
Good. Right, I will try to share a screen.
Ah, that's better.
Looks promising.
How about now?
Yes, we've got a moon, I think.
Oh, no. That is Pluto.
Pluto, yay.
Well, all
Yes,
right.
I believe I'm here to talk about Pluto, whether it's a planet or not. And this at the top left-hand corner is Charon, the moon, of Pluto, although I'm not sure whether it's Sharon or Charon. But you probably don't want to hear about planets. You probably want to hear about Pluto in RISC-OS. What I'm aiming to do tonight is to start off with a short background to Pluto, then to show a brand new installation of Pluto with anti-spam as a transport, and hopefully connect it up to the internet and show it working. And then I will show a larger used version of Pluto so that I can show some of the facilities with lots of articles on it. Right, let's go. Start off with, why am I here? Which is always a good place to start. I started off with computers in 1969 with mainframes largely, and that was my working life. In 1982, I got a BBC A as a relaxation from the day job. But ever since, I've been hooked on BBC Basic and computers that followed. So I've followed the path of A410, RISC PC, Ionics. Now use a titanium mainly, plus Raspberry Pis. I'm a long time Pluto user, and indeed I created the Stronghold manual for it while Jonathan was still maintaining Pluto. But I never got him to accept it as a manual for the release. I've also written software like ARMsort, sorting arrays in BASIC, Reporter, task usage, and a number of others. But I've also taken over horrifically since 2008, so that's quite a long time ago now, as a programmer for Organizer. But over my working life, I have written many computer languages, but never C. I never came across C. The history of Pluto is that it was written by Jonathan Dullington in about 1997. It was a commercial product, and it was supported by him until about 2005. And it all went very quiet. And the Pluto users were rather anxious about the support for it. But in 2013, much to everybody's surprise, he released 3.06 under open source license with the source. It was about 80,000 lines of C, no documentation to speak of. Brow, first of all, made a few changes and released it. And I decided that I wanted to help. But that meant that I had to learn C first, which was a bit of a snag. But since then, between Sproul and myself, we have raised the version number to 3.0 20, and there's about 280 committed changes. And we've catered for more obscure forms of emails. The help that I wrote has been greatly expanded and included. The installation has been simplified. The templates have all been tidied up. Backup facilities have been tidied up. Search and selection has been improved. I spent a lot of time trying to improve the handling of large articles because since 1997, the average size of emails seems to have increased from a few kilobytes to a few megabytes, and some of them multi-megabytes. So that limit became a bit of a problem. Attachments have been improved. We've removed a limit on article size that was 16 megabytes. And more recently, we've catered for anti-spam 1.68, which allows both receiving emails and sending emails. And over the time, there have been many, many small fixes and improvements. So that's how I got involved, helping with that. Future of Pluto depends upon time. We have some ideas, but no firm plans. But I would stress it is open source. If anybody wants to help, they're very welcome. Any questions so far, just as an introduction to Pluto and where we're at? No? Fine. Right, let's get on to
sorry,
the
I was struggling to unmute myself. There is one thing. Could you just give a sort of thumbnail picture of how it differs from Messenger Pro?
With difficulty, because I've never really used Messenger Pro. I have seen it. So I'm not in a position to compare, really. Sorry, can't help there.
Chris, I use Messenger Pro, so I can always send you a screenshot or something comparing it, but I don't use Pluto, obviously, so.
Yeah, yes. People tend to have either used one or the other. Some people have used both, but not me, I'm afraid, so I can't help. Right, on to the dangerous bits as far as I'm concerned. Live demonstrations over Zoom. First of all, I'm going to show the new installation and then a larger installation. So you should all see a RISC-OS screen.
Yep.
There is an empty directory here to install things into. So we're going to do things right from scratch. That's the zip file for Pluto. Copy it in there and have a look at the README. The README says to install Pluto for the first time, drag it into our directory. Okay, done that. Click menu over there and help. And then follow the links for a new installation, which is right at the top. Pluto and Messenger Pro both are just email applications. They both rely upon a transport to actually read and write the emails from your machine to the email servers. So first of all, we need to check any prerequisites. And it is most important for any email installation, whether it be on RISC-OS or Windows or Android or anything, you need to know the mail server details. And for that, you need to go to your ISP, which should have well documented what the two servers are that you want to use. There is an SMTP server, Simple Mail Transport Protocol server to send emails, and there will also be a POP3 server to receive emails. There are also IMAP servers which can be used with many email programs, particularly on tablets and Windows and things, but not with anti-spam or Popstar. I'm not sure about Hermes. I don't know if Hermes accepts that or not.
Messenger Pro and has built-in IMAP facilities.
It does now, yes,
Yeah.
That's right. But this means that for both servers that you're going to use here, we need the server name, the port number, username and password, and any security options. And until you get those right, email is not guaranteed to work. If you get them wrong, email may work, but it may stop working at any point. And this is something that is catching a lot of people out, because if they set up their servers years ago, ISPs tend to have started to insist on different port numbers and a username and passwords and security options. And unless you update to whatever is really required now, your email may stop working. This has caused a lot of confusion. Once you've got those, what do? First, start Pluto, okay? Start Pluto, just by a double click. First time round, there'll be a message to say that some files, directories are missing. If it's a new installation, please click Create. If it's an old installation, then there's something horribly wrong and you shouldn't create things. Click Create, it will set some files up and open a Pluto window. And if you're adventurous, you may see that there's something that seems to be inviting a click here. You double click on that, you'll find that there's an email from the Pluto developers that just says, have a look at the help manual, have a read of it, etc. So we try to make the installation process much easier than it used to be. First thing that we need to do with Pluto is to set up a user. So from the icon bar menu, lists, there's a whole load of lists, one of which is users. Click on that and you get a list of the users that are defined. The initial one is a dummy one. To edit that, we can either click menu on it and edit user, or double click the adjust. It opens up the same window. We need to change that to something a bit more meaningful for me. Here I'm going to cheat slightly and get Macro to type some things in for me. If anybody likes to send an email to plutodemo@avisoft.f9.co.uk, we may see them later on. There's also some settings here for what boxes you want emails put into, but we'll just leave those as they are. We'll also untick request mail apps. That is where an email that you send will automatically send an acknowledgement back that somebody has received it. That tends to annoy people if it's done for every email these days. And click OK. So that's the user bit done. We now need to install and test the transport application. Anti-spam is a transport that I'm going to show you. It will also work with Hermes, Popstar, which, although it's free, hasn't been maintained for a long time and won't cope with modern security standards. It will also handle what I've called generic, which may handle some other things if they ever appear, but so far as I'm aware, there aren't any. It will also handle Newshound for news. But today we're going to look at anti-spam. Anti-spam itself has some prerequisites, which just consist of you need syslog, and in order to be able to use security, you need Acorn SSL and a fairly recent certificates file, which is no problem whatsoever if you're running a recent version of RISC OS 5. If you're running RISC OS 4, then you have to specifically make sure you've got those from the right places. Now we can go and install anti-spam. And here, again, we start with the anti-spam zip file. Copy anti-spam into there. And then double click on that to start it. Again, you get a message to say that it hasn't been configured and how to handle that. It opens up a rules file, which you can change, but we'll ignore for the moment. We'll just accept the default, because the whole object of these instructions is to get a working system, a basic working system. A lot of people try to do all sorts of things when they're setting it up, and they don't get things to work. My attitude is you should get to a working system and then try to do the fancy things. So I'm concentrating purely on the simple, straightforward stuff to be able to send and receive emails. Anti-spam itself has a number of settings because it is a very versatile package. It started off aimed at coping with large amounts of spam and being able to detect them and trap them and deal with them. That more recently has been taken over more by ISPs who will trap that sort of thing. So it's possibly not so necessary these days. It will operate, however, as a straightforward mail fetcher and sender. The run options we won't change for the moment, but it has options to run it on startup or on a click, and other things, or to run every so often. Formatting, we would simply change one thing, which is to change that icon from anti-spam to anti-spam 2, and I'll show you why later on. Scan is to do with how we scan the emails for anti-spam purposes. Won't do any of that. Logging. For logging, to start off with, I suggest that one starts off with an awful lot of logging. So we will log any deleted emails in that file, and any diverted emails in that file, and we will click all these so that we get as much logging as possible. Again, this is aimed at people trying to get it to work, and logging can be very useful to start off with. You can always turn it off afterwards. Miscellaneous, we won't touch for the moment. Mailbox, this is where it gets specific, because this is where you specify the server for receiving emails. So we'll call this mailbox demos. You can have any number of mailboxes, so you can point anti-spam at several different ISPs or mail providers. It will happily work with lots. I'm calling this one demos. That's the remote server name that I've got to connect to. That's my username. That's my password, which obviously I'm not going to tell you. And the port number is 995. I've also, in order to use the right security, I have to tick SSL TLS, which is associated with that port. And clicking module there checks that the Acorn SSL module is available to do that. That is used to encrypt the emails that you send to your email provider. No, sorry, that's used to encrypt the emails that are received from your email provider. Because we're talking about receiving emails here. Under the general settings, these are more to do with the anti-spam nature of this. You can set up rules that will simply divert files, that will simply download files, which I've put in a file called accept. You can also divert files, and there is a default. Don't worry too much about those. It's just so that you can differentiate. If your rules do anything strange, you can detect which rule did things. Logging, again, let's have all the logging on for here, apart from the debug log, which we won't bother with. Forwarding, we won't bother with. Sending, this is where we specify the server for sending emails. Again, there's the server name, my username, my password, and I need to set up Start TLS here for the security and port 587. It is essential that these are all absolutely correct. Otherwise, you will get all sorts of strange errors back. miscellaneous. We will tick these so that we get a header added to the received emails that tell you the date, who it was sent to, and what the action was. And we will type something in here by clicking type down here, which should put that in there. I'll show you the result of that later. And save. And that is anti-spam more or less set up. May seem long and tedious, but it's a very versatile package, and there are lots of things to set up to start off with. Having set them up, you can forget about them largely. Then we need to create a text file containing the one word in that directory, which opens there, containing one word, just send. And again, I will explain why that is used. So one word, just send, call it CL switches, and we'll drag it into there. And that is anti-spam itself set up. I will now just restart it so that it all takes effect. Now we need to tell Pluto where the transport is. Do this by going into Pluto, Preferences, News and Mail. There's settings for the transports. If we click on that, there's a list of the transports that you can select. The top ones are old ones which are no longer available unless anybody yells violently, and I can put them back in again. These are the ones that are available now. We'll click on anti-spam, and that enables Pluto to find where the anti-spam files are for downloaded emails and sent emails. Right. Now we should be able to test it. We can check that emails can be received. So we now need to ask anti-spam to receive any emails that there are.
Sent you one.
We can do that by either saying run demos or double click on that. Oh, somebody sent me something. Now you'll see that it downloaded 2 emails there. What I meant to do was one optional extra, which isn't in these instructions, but it's something that has only recently been made available, something called Pluto. I'll install that, and if I start that, you'll see a little window open with a flashing envelope that indicates that there is mail that anti-spam has received, but Pluto hasn't yet read in. One can either click on debatch and Pluto will read any emails, or click on that and it will ask Pluto to read the emails. Or there's always more than one way to do things. Or you can go to menu, mail and news, and debatch mail. So there's several ways to do it. The easiest way now is just to click that. And we'll see that that's turned red with 2 emails waiting and 2 unread. Double click on that. Oh, the first one that I sent was that. So you should see that email that has just been received. And just to test that I'm not really playing a recording, there we are. That was from Chris. Let's reply to Chris. There are lots of icons along here, which can be a bit confusing to start off with, but there is interactive help on all of them. So if we start help up, that fairly obviously deletes the article. That will move to the previous article if there is one, or the next article, or the next thread. That will save it. That will speak it. I was intending to show you speak, which works happily with Pluto, but unfortunately it doesn't seem to work over the NC server. So although I could hear it, you wouldn't be able to. There are various ways to lock emails and to spell check them, format them, and you can toggle the headers. So if I toggle that header, you'll see these are all the headers that were in with the email that you don't normally see. So I can tell that Chris was using RISC-OS 5.31, Message Serve, and Messenger Pro. Now for the moment, let's just reply to that. And if I click the hostbox icon, it will send that. And I can close that. Now, that's sent email has been stored in here. That's the reply. It could be stored in the same box as it was, the original was stored in. You have complete control over that. And you'll notice that there's another icon appeared in the Pluto monitor, which indicates that there's post to go out. If you have to click on that, or right click on the anti-spam icon, which is why I changed that so that you could see that it was active. Or use the menu here to send mail. All of those will get anti-spam to read that from Pluto and send it to the internet. But I've just thought that I forgot something from the end of that email. So let's just add a PS on it. Save it. Now I will send it. So a message pops up. That's the communication between anti-spam and the server. And hopefully Chris will exclaim in a minute that he's had an email. So that's showed that this simple setup of Pluto with anti-spam can receive emails and reply to them and send them.
I have received your email, Martin.
Oh, hooray! I'm not cheating. If any of the tasks fail, you don't get the emails in the right places, and there is a troubleshooting page, and it recommends that you look in syslog for anti-spam messages, or Hermes logs, or news hand logs, depending. If we look in syslog, you will see that there is an AS demos, which is the log name that I gave when I set up anti-spam for messages from the demos mailbox, and you get messages about who it was from and the fact it's worked. So when things go wrong, that may have some clues on as to why it's gone wrong. There's also an overall anti-spam thing because it can handle several mailboxes. This is all the mailboxes listed, whereas this is the detail of that particular mailbox. And notice that there is a similar thing for sending. Sending in anti-spam is handled by MSC, Mail Simple Client, I think it is, which is part of anti-spam. And here you can see the communications to and from the server. In fact, it's accepted to log in, and it's been accepted for delivery, and it's closed it. So you've got a full trace of what's gone on or gone wrong. But this test has worked, fortunately. There are some other things to consider, obviously, as this is just a basic installation. In general, you can arrange to start both Pluto and anti-spam at boot, or run them automatically or periodically. In Pluto, you may want to set up a backup of the whole of Pluto, or at least choices and articles. If you become dependent upon the mail system, as many people are, and you do not want to lose all your emails, then it is essential that you set up a good backup system. And my recommendation is that you back up the whole of Pluto, including choices and articles, say once a week, and change the mail backups within Pluto to at least twice that time. So if we go back to the mail settings, at the bottom here, there's mail backups. By default, it's 6 days. But if you backed up the whole of Pluto every week, I would recommend that was changed to every 15 days. So that in the event of a total disaster, you lost your disk, for example, you could restore Pluto from a week ago, and then you could restore the mails that you've received in that last week from the backups that are held within Pluto. The fact that I've doubled that time to 2 weeks is to cater for the fact that, okay, so there may be something wrong with the first backup that you've got. I firmly believe, having worked for a long, long time with computers, you can never have too many backups. and space is cheap these days. There's a similar backup setting for news. You may not want that. That's not so important because news you can always get back from the news servers if you really need to. Where is that backed up in Pluto? Well, it's backed up in the backups file. You look, that was when I asked anti-spam to read from the servers, the date and the time, and in there is a copy of what anti-spam read from the server and what Pluto read itself. So with that information, if you've had to restore the whole of the Pluto files, you can restore your recent emails from this file. Maybe a little tedious, but better than losing it. There is also a facility called Backup Sent, which is referred to here, which means that any sent emails will also be backed up in here. But that means in order to do that, you need to make a one-line change to anti-spam or to Hermes or to Newshound, which is to add one line to the run file. And then it will back up files that are sent as well. What else? Has anybody got any questions relating to a simple first-time basic install of Pluto?
Yes. Is it easy to batch export all your emails from Messenger Pro so that they can be seen in Pluto?
If Messenger Pro can export emails in a format that Pluto can understand, then yes. It is simply a matter of dragging the file onto the icon bar.
The relevant file in Messenger Pro is Shriek Newsdir. Do you just drag that?
I have no idea what the format of that is.
Well, you won't get any users moving to your platform then, will you?
Will Hermes Hermes Messenger Pro export in RMail format?
I have no idea. I don't even know what you mean.
Messenger Pro exports in about 7 different formats, including the format that Pluto will read.
I'll be surprised if it did not. It's a long, long time since I've looked at Messenger Pro, I'm afraid. So the answer seems to be yes.
Where is it documented?
In here somewhere. It's similar to restoring from one of the backups. I can show you, just hang on a moment. Go back to that file. If I drag that in there, I didn't have to drag it in there actually. No. If I take that file and just drag it and drop it on the Pluto icon, it says, where do you want to import it? Let's import it into Mail One Store. You can ask it to use filters if you want it to, which I haven't mentioned yet. And you can mark them all as red. So let's mark them all as red. Import it. Look in store now. There are those two messages marked as red because they're not highlighted. So it's a simple drag and drop of a file.
I mean, the reason I ask is there's several gigabytes of email to transfer, and if it's a nice painless process, I might try Pluto.
Well, it will probably handle it. Without a few more details, I couldn't say for definite because I've never tried it with that sort of volume. It's certainly worth a go.
Yeah, okay, thanks.
Any other questions?
Yeah, just a quick one. I've just been following your demo trying to set Pluto up with a server that I know works with Messenger Pro, and it keeps giving me an authentication error trying to log in. So,
are you sure that you have got your user ID, password, and the security settings correct?
yep, exactly the same as what I put into Messenger Pro. And then when it's trying to connect to the server, it's just coming up error, authentication failed, but everything is correct because I've just double checked it all.
That authentication error still means it's probably an error on your configuration. It could be it wants the full email address rather than just the name. It might want Joe Blogs at demon.co.uk. Some don't need the full address. It really depends on your hosting company or ISP mail server. Just for reference, Martin and Chris, who are asking about
I think you just muted yourself, Chris.
We lost the audio there.
Yeah, Chris has muted himself. We can't hear you, Chris.
I'm no good at lip reading, Chris.
Chris Hughes, we can't hear you. You're on mute.
Right, sorry about that. It was replacing my keyboard.
But it looks it looks good.
Yeah,
It looks
export.
yeah.
It will export in formats hash, pling, space, RMail format, which is pretty much the standard one used by PCs,
Yes.
Pluto, Messenger Pro. It's a pretty much standard. They offer 4 different options to export your entire folder or the entire lot. So you can import as well.
I will figure it out.
Can I ask Martin, do you use Hermes normally?
No, I'm using anti-spam. I haven't tried Hermes, so that I will probably give that a go.
It works very well with Hermes. I've been using it with Hermes for years.
Okay, I'll give it a go. Thank you.
What Sorry, Martin. So you were saying that you don't use Hermes, but you use the same settings.
Well, basically, what I did is I followed your tutorial as we were going through this talk and downloaded anti-spam like you did, put my settings in there like I would in Messenger Pro, and it wouldn't authenticate. So I'm going to try it with Hermes to see if that will render the issue.
In Hermes, are you pointing to an IMAP server or a POP3 server?
It's a POP3. I can have either or. It's both the server set up for to either have IMAP or POP.
Can't answer that offhand. Perhaps we can take that offline afterwards.
Yep, no worries.
Any other questions? Right, well, let's move on to a rather larger version of Pluto. This one has got 33,000 odd articles in it, so considerably bigger than what we've just been playing with. I've just started it up. There's a list of 4 boxes. All of these boxes are you can name yourself. There are actually many more boxes, but the box can be set so that it only is listed automatically at the top if there's any unread articles. So all these haven't got any unread ones. The ones that are listed at the top there are always listed because they're the ones that I use. Note that the icons here are slightly different to the ones that you saw before, because there are 2 sets of icons for Pluto. One of which are slightly smaller than the original ones. Some people prefer one, some people prefer the other. Up to you. I just thought I'd show them both so that you could see them. In the box list, let's open mailing lists. A list of all the mailing lists that I'm subscribed to. This, incidentally, is a copy of my main Pluto with a fair number of deletions. But I thought it gave a better impression of what a working Pluto would look like when you got it really set up and running. If we look at the list of mailing lists, there is a Pluto mailing list there. Click on that, it opens up a list of all the articles within that mailing list in a sort sequence of threads status. There are various different sort sequences within there, because you can change it to date, a reverse date, the author, subject, all sorts of things. But for mailing lists, I find a threaded list most useful because you can see, let's choose a very big one. You can see the articles displayed as a thread. So there was an original post there. It was replied to. That was replied to. That was replied to. The first one was then replied to by somebody else. So you can see each of the threads of the list. Within each of these, you have a similar set of icons along the top, and you can reply to that in a similar sort of way to the one that we saw earlier. You can either reply and quote, resend it, mail the sender, or mail the list. If I mail the list, it will go to a Pluto list. And if I were to send something there, it will be added on to the bottom of that list. Now that is shows, in essence, one of the beauties of Pluto, in that if I select all the boxes, remove the bin box, which is a special one that is holding stuff that I've deleted this afternoon, I can now open all those together. And that is a total list of all the mails. And again, I can sort them into any sequence I like. Now notice that this is an instantaneous sort. It doesn't take any time at all. And one of the uses of that, I find, is I can sort them to length. And I can identify the big ones, because Pluto is not really aimed at holding lots of very large emails, like the Christmas letter from somebody from last year, which was nearly a gigabyte. Who would believe one letter could be a gigabyte? I don't know. So there are limits within Pluto of how much it's sensible to hold, and that is a very useful way of identifying the big ones. I didn't mean to close that. From that list, you can select. So I can search and select, and I can look for everything that's got Pluto in the subject heading. Search the whole lot. That again is a list exactly the same, but it is just the ones from the big list that contain Pluto in the heading. So if we look at announce, Pluto is available. Apps, Pluto, Pluto, Pluto. So it's found those again damn near instantaneously. And that's searching 30,000 messages. Better than that, you can then search on this list. And I can say, right, tell me in the Pluto users mailing list, the ones that have got Pluto in the body of the mailing list. I'll notice that the search and select has got some things in green and some things in red. And the green ones, as it indicates here, are fast searches. And the red ones are slower because it actually has to go off to disk and read the disk. The fast ones are done purely from what's in memory. And we will see if I search there, it takes a little bit of time because it's had to read the disk, and that's come back with a subset of that list, which has got Pluto in the text. I wouldn't open those, and you can see that it's highlighted Pluto. Highlight Pluto. You can even merge searches together. So the search facility is, I find, very, very useful. Just to have a look at some of the other facilities that there are, look at the icon bar menu, the number of lists which are held, users we've had a look at, mailing lists, we can see that's a list of the ones that it knows about. If you want to add one, click on add, give it the address, the name, where you want it storing, which box you want it storing in, and a few other things. There are lists of addresses, which I won't display for too long because there are some real emails in there. And when you write an email, you can select the two by selecting from that list. What are signatures? You can also set up a signature. So if we look at my normal signature, that's appended to the bottom of any emails that I send with that signature file. But you can have lots of signature files, as you can see, depending what sort it is, what sort of thing it is you're writing and who to. There's also a whole list of preferences, some of which we looked at in news and mail. There's also ones that you can set where you want drafts to go, where you want mailing lists to go. And if you click on one of these, it's a list of the boxes that you've defined over here, so you can just change the box. Anything else of importance there? Fonts you can change. We look at that's a bad one. We look at Pluto. We can change the display font between two, which are generally set to a proportional one and a non-proportional one, but you can choose from whatever font you like that you have installed on your machine. Speech I was going to show you, but you won't be able to hear it. Filters. Not that one. Lists of filters. You can set up filters for tests on incoming emails, on things like the source, the author, header, envelope 2 for being equal to or not equal to things, so that you can put things in different boxes, or you can discard them. And the filters are all applicable to either mail or mail lists or news, or filters specifically for importing from the icon bar. And I have a fair number of them, as you can see. I'll stop it. The articles file, articles menu enables you to do things to the whole set of articles, mainly to do with compacting them if you need to manually do it. You don't normally, or finding faults in the article files, or deleting duplicates. If there are duplicates within the database, it will remove them for you. Backups, we've had a look at partly. These are the ones that I showed you before, the received emails. These are the messages going out with the envelope file and the actual text. So it is perfectly possible to make a completely secure system that you have 2 copies of everything that comes in or goes out. Attachments. Let's have a look at attachments. Let's pretend we're going to send an email and we want to send some attachments. I just happen to have 4 JPEGs here. Drag them onto there, and it adds them as attachments. The format of that bottom page can be changed to just a short name or a longer name with the space that it will take up when it's actually sent, because it will be base 64 encoded, so it will be longer. Or big icons. So it's rather like the filer in that respect. People often ask about external boxes. How do you create an external box? I'll show you. Let's create a directory called xbox. Drag that into there, and it says, do you want to make a new external box? Yes, please. I'll just change that into an application, because it now has boot, run, sprites, and lots of articles files which have got nothing in it. And we can open that external box. There's nothing in it. If I was to take, say, mail lists, what I tend to do every year is to export the oldest set of news and mail to an external box. Let's take 2022, selection, move to box, external box. And I've moved it so it will copy it to the external box, and then delete it from the normal box. And it will obviously take a bit of time. It's having to shuffle things around on disk. So now, if we open the external box, you'll see year 2022, 1,100 and something. And if anybody remembered how many there were in there, they've gone. So that is now an external box. It's not normally open to Pluto until you double click on it, and then it opens it. That means that you can keep the size of the database within Pluto to manageable levels. If you get an awful lot of old stuff that you still want to keep, that you occasionally want to reference, as I do, then that is the way to do it. And if necessary, you can still move those back into the main Pluto if you should so wish. I think that's about all that I had on my list of things. There's a whole mass of stuff that I could show you, but I think I will now open it to questions to see if there's anything that people want to specifically ask about.
Don't worry, there's always a stunned silence for a while.
Yes, I can hear the stunned silence.
Martin?
Yes.
I remember speaking to Jonathan at one of the early Acorn shows.
Yes.
And he told me at the time, that is, if I'm remembering correctly, and I think I am because my wife's not in the office with me. He said that he originally designed it as a text storage and retrieval system.
Yes.
So I'm not imagining it. Do you know anybody who actually uses it that way?
Well, if you think about it, I did mention the search facilities are quite comprehensive, and a lot of them are very fast. So that is the sort of, I think that's the reason why they are so comprehensive, in that it was a text retrieval system.
Do you know anybody who actually uses it as such?
Well, not separately from emails. No, I've never heard of it. But I use it myself for holding large amounts of text and for searching through it and for finding things. But all that text is emails and news postings.
Yeah, if you were to use it as such, I presume you can't have two copies of Pluto running simultaneously. You'd have to quit the regular Pluto that you use for emails and news groups and then load the other one.
Well,
there is no reason why you wouldn't be able to use the same copy of Pluto, John.
You can use the same copy if all the text that you want to store is in an external box.
Right.
So
I never thought of it that way.
You only open that if you need to look in your text repository.
Yes.
Which in this instance happens to be emails, but it could be anything.
Yes.
I've got a little program which I produced which will allow you to run 2 copies of Pluto or any number of copies of Pluto, but individually, and it ensures that any of the system variables are deleted between each one. So you could run one copy and then you go to the next one, and before you start that, it automatically deletes all the system variables pointing to the first one, and you can open the second one.
Yes, that is fairly straightforward in either using your method or another one, but that only enables you to run either Pluto A or Pluto B. You can't run them both together.
No, that's correct, yes.
Right. But if you used an external box, you could eventually do both things at the same time. But just as an example, I've just created a text file containing this is some text and saved it. I can drag that to Pluto. It's in Pluto. And it's put it in the MISC box. We go to MISC, text file. There we are.
Yeah, there's no reason you have to use an external box, Martin, because if you think back to when Jonathan first supplied it, there was a small amount of text in that wasn't emails right from the very start, and that was the instruction manual.
That was the original basic help files, yes.
Yeah.
That's right, which are now included in the strong help file. And I took them out of Pluto itself.
Can I? Sorry, somebody else wanted to speak. Right, I'll carry on. I notice you using StrongEd.
Yep.
And there's a situation where StrongEd defeats one of the functions of Pluto. That is, if you wish to reorder where the boxes appear in the main window.
Very true. Very true, yes. They both use the same hotkeys, I believe. To change the position of a box in the list, select it, then use Shift up down keys. And that doesn't work.
Can you use Zap with Pluto?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Or you just quit Pluto and then it'll work.
I mean, sorry, can you use Zap as the editor in Pluto?
Yes, you can use either Zap or StrongEd, or Pluto has its own editor. That is Pluto's own editor, or you can edit external edit. So that has opened it in StrongEd. But it will work happily with Zap as well, whatever your preferred external editor is. For most things, I tend to use Pluto's editor because it's got the sort of heading information in it. But occasionally, depending what I'm editing, StrongEd's easier. So I just drop into StrongEd. But that text there, I put in StrongEd. So yes, you can use either Zap or StrongEd as well as the Pluto editor.
Who the editor was again?
Yes. That's why I said either or.
Martin, would you like to say something about the way Pluto handles things like HTML and other things which come with the modern email.
Yes. Can I find one? Can I find one? Oh, I've got some. Like that. Horrible text and a HTML file at the bottom. If it's been formatted correctly by the sender, if I double click on that, he says, hopefully, it should open your whatever's your browser is and try to display it. Does that answer your question?
Yes, that's what I was wanting to show people.
Martin, what's the current version or number of Pluto and for that matter anti-spam?
3.20.
Are we likely to see a new version of Pluto anytime soon?
I would like to think so.
You should be a chancellor. Not giving anything away.
Okay, I've managed to get anti-spam to connect.
Yay.
Oh, good. What did you have to change?
I had to set up an app-specific password because my mail service have now changed the way that my mail's handled. So anti-spam is running and it's doing its thing, but the mail is not actually going into Pluto. So I think I may have missed a step or done something wrong.
Did you miss the step where you go to preferences, news mail, and select mail transport?
In mail transport is set up as anti-spam.
When you say it's not going into Pluto, have you tried debatching it?
How do I do that?
In Pluto, top left, there's a in the boxes list. There's normally a big debatch button.
Oh yeah. It's talking to me. It says I have 0 messages.
Did anti-spam say that it had downloaded some?
No, it just said I had 0 new messages.
In that case, Pluto's not able to display any.
Okay. I will try sending myself an email.
That sounds rather like. Is this a POP3? Yes, it must be.
Yeah, it is.
Is the mail in that POP3 box?
Yes.
May need to look at the debug logs, but try sending yourself one first.
That's what I'm now doing.
Any other questions?
Oh, looks like a very flexible system to be able to maneuver stuff around the way that you can.
It is, and in a way, that's one of the problems with it. It can be a bit daunting for a new user, to be honest, because it is so flexible. I mean, that's the information that you use to set up a box. All these boxes are purely fictional boxes. They don't exist in real disk space. They are just names that is used to categorize things. And you can change the colour of the box list and how things are displayed in it and all sorts of stuff. But the emphasis to start off with was getting a working system. You can play about with those afterwards.
Eat your veg first, as they say.
Yes, exactly. I've seen too many people come unstuck because they've tried to be fancy to start off with and do this and that and the other, and then they don't know what's gone wrong. And the most difficult part, really, to get right is the server communication, as Martin's discovering, perhaps.
You're going to respond to that email from the Telegraph that says, "What can we do to improve your experience?" Well, you can stop sending HTML emails for a start.
Oh, yes. Yes, it annoys me sometimes. You can get a sort of 100k email or more, of which there is, well,
that much text.
2k of text that's useful.
Yeah.
Some of the HTML that they send out is appalling. I don't know about the Telegraph.
I blame Microsoft for that.
It just goes.
Some of it's actually in Word documents. Some of it's actually Word documents that have been made into email. They're the worst.
Oh yes, there's all sorts of combinations.
I noticed you're supporting or allowing Popstar to be used as a transport. As far as I'm aware, Popstar does not support SSL, so it can't be used with SSL.
It does not.
That's
right.
Connections. Basically, hasn't been updated in donkey years. Basically,
Donkey's years. Yes.
Yes.
We removed some of the really old ones.
Yeah.
Like Voyager and Pop and Termite and FreeSM and TP, which I'd never met. Removed those fairly recently, but Popstar is still used by quite a lot of users. But anybody that needs security will have to move to either Hermes or anti-spam.
Yeah. But as more and more Plusnet have had to do it, and various other people, because basically too many people are spamming the unencrypted connections.
Yes. I used to use Popstar for many, many years, and it worked okay in its day. But I changed over to anti-spam when it started being able to send emails, and it had security in it.
One thing I don't think you should mention, I know Newshound is about the only thing that can be used for Newsnet now, or Newsgroup, whichever you like to call it. But is there some special setup there for deciding which Usenet server you're going to connect to?
Yes. Yes, Newshound is set up in a very similar way. You need to know I used to use the PlusNet emails news server. Then I started to use the PlusNet one with a backup of Eternal September. And then since PlusNet stopped their news server completely,
Yep.
I simply use Eternal September now.
Yeah.
Seems to work usually. It's a bit flaky, but generally it works.
Yeah, I use Eternal September, which is pretty reliable.
One of these days, there should be a newer version of Newshound. I've been using a test version for ages, but for some reason it hasn't been released properly.
You're thinking 1.55. Yes, I know that hasn't been released. And 1.54 was a patched version to allow you to carry on sending news groups out. But
Yes,
1.55, I don't understand.
Where is 1.55?
Yeah, 1.55 hasn't been put on the, I know it's Surge Force or whatever. It hasn't been put on the server yet. But I understand it's been set up to use SSL on news groups as well, because that's starting to be required by some Usenet providers as well. So
certainly, I'm using SSL with my version of Newshound.
Yeah.
Newshound, yes.
Yeah. I noticed you're defaulted to port 995 when you were showing that thing. Some use 993 or 587 just to be awkward.
You have to be very careful to get the right ports.
Yeah.
And I mean, not ones that work, the right ones.
Yeah.
Those were the right ones for my servers. They're not the right ones for everybody. Should be, but aren't. Any more questions? Silence.
Well, any more questions, everybody?
Martin, have you managed to get it to work yet?
Sadly not. I'll have to play. I'll have to play with it some more because I've clearly missed something out. Because it all works under Messenger Pro, and I've just been. Doug's just been saying in the chat that apparently the Gmail accounts are broken or something with Messenger Pro, but I have not had any issues with Gmail at all. Mine's been working absolutely fine.
Yeah, the problem is, Martin, that the latest built version of Acorn SSL have the ability to do TLS 1.3.
Right.
And whereas the earlier versions of the Acorn SSL module and that module that was supplied with Messenger Pro originally only does TLS 1.2. And with TLS 1.3, Gmail will automatically go to TLS 1.3, and in the settings you have to define the server, and Messenger Pro, Netfetch, etc. doesn't do that currently. There was supposed to be a fix in Netfetch 6, but the programmer was ill. Hence, my Gmail account doesn't work with Messenger Pro, and I think it's Acorn SSL 1.09, and I think the sub thing is 3.5. 6 something.
Yeah, the embed's the more important part.
Yeah, exactly. So there is an issue there. Because
so are you saying that you can't? Can you not send or receive any emails through Gmail?
I can with an older version of Acorn SSL. One that hasn't is probably about 6 months, over 6 months old now, because all the latest versions of the Acorn SSL module.
See, I don't know which
1.
version.
3.
I don't know what version of SSL I'm running.
Yeah, easy enough to find. Just go help.
Yeah, just if you open up a task window on your machine, Martin, and do help.acorn SSL, it'll tell you which version you've got.
1.07.
Yeah, that's the version I think that Arcom had in their latest update. So,
what's the embed version at the end of that?
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
Hang on.
If it's if it starts with a 3.
Yeah, but embed 3 something or other.
Yeah,
it's embed TLS 3.6.3.
Yeah, so that basically I think is the one that's got when did you last update that, Martin?
I'm running the latest ROM from Rule, so 531. So the one that came out on this. Sorry,
it's not in the ROM; it's in the disk.
Oh, I haven't updated the disk for a while.
Yeah. It's a 3.6.4.
Yeah, so you may want.
I'm running embed TLS 3.6.5, dated 28th of March.
Yeah,
and that'll be that came with I think it was Hermes.
Yeah, and that will essentially default with Gmail to TLS 1.3, and it won't work.
Yeah,
right. So essentially, the one that I'm on is okay.
It should. Yeah, if you haven't updated your Acorn SSL module, it's probably not defaulted to TLS 1.3.
There is a way. I was going to say, Doug, there is a way around it. As long as they haven't removed the option in the Gmail, you have to use the window machine to get to it. You can actually have your email diverted automatically to another email address.
Yes, yeah.
And that gets around it.
Or you stay on the older version, but hopefully it'll be done soon. It should have been done for the London show, but unfortunately, I think the programmer was ill. So Andrew tells me. So it's on the waiting list.
Well, Gmail, Outlook.com, Live.com all went pear-shaped with PlusNet anyway, so that's one reason we've had to...
Went pear-shaped with a lot of people.
Yes.
It's just PlusNet.
Yeah, it's because they've forced everybody, because they use relay.plus.net as their, or whatever the version is for F9. And all the big people were suddenly blocking it all as spam. So they went from months of trying to cut people around.
Microsoft messed it up.
Yeah. Again.
They're always messing something up.
Yeah. It's
SQA is AI.
Yeah, that's the issue really. Because Outlook doesn't work now, obviously, because it requires OAuth. Google have announced the next step. I think they're going the same way as Outlook, Microsoft with Outlook, and for business users, you've got to have OAuth. So I don't think it'll be much longer before you need OAuth with Gmail, and unless we get something that does OAuth.
Yeah, the OAuth 2 is what they're pushing at the moment, but the problem is it has been hacked. I suppose it's secure. It isn't secure because it's already been hacked. It was hacked about 5 years ago.
It isn't, really. It isn't, Chris. And at the end of the day, yeah, it's a difficult one, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
When you set up your Gmail account under Messenger or Pluto, are you using an app-specific password under Gmail? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm using that specific password as well for mine as well.
Yeah, I find that's a lot simpler than trying to.
Yeah, but that's what will probably be depreciated probably in the next 2 years with Google as well. So.
Yeah, we're gonna have to type in
a
type in a 6-digit code every time by opening an app on our mobile.
Yeah. Because that's what they're trying to push everybody into using their web interface. That's the way they think everybody should be using email.
Well, I'm having to do that with my Outlook account. Will I just give up on my Outlook account altogether because it was just a pain in the backside?
Yeah.
Mm. But going back to your problem, it must be something else with anti-spam there. Why it won't pull it down unless...
Well, it's almost like Pluto doesn't see anti-spam pulling in the mail. It's like it's not actually pulling the mail in because all of my mail is sat in my inbox on my POP account. I've set it so that it doesn't get deleted. So it should just, even if I set a POP account up on a new machine, it will download all my mail from my inbox, wherever machine I set it up from. So it's when anti-spam is running, you can see there's like 56 items that it's trying to bring in, but it's not pulling it into the Pluto app. It's just going nowhere.
But did anti-spam actually download things?
I don't know.
Yeah, you should be able to see that, shouldn't you, Martin?
Yes.
You should be able to see the raw downloaded file to see what the contents are.
Yeah. If you go into
within anti-spam. Yeah.
Right, so it's running. So now it's stopped. So where do I find out where that's all gone?
Martin, you there?
Yes.
You know where? Not you. The other Martin Avison. He'll know where the files are.
Yes,
he seems to have disappeared.
I am here. I've just deleted some things I didn't mean to delete. It's within anti-spam somewhere. Blah, blah, blah.
Oh, logs, mailboxes. Okay.
If you open Pling anti-spam, what are the directories that are in there?
Resources and examples. Hold on a second. Diverted messages. Yeah, so there is a log that goes into syslogs, which shows you all of the contents of my mail, but it doesn't tell me where it's gone. For some reason. So it's all gone very quiet.
I'm thinking. Can't think where.
Oh, okay. It's all right. I'm just scrolling through it to see if I can spot anything. But...
I tend to have a look at the log file to see what it's done.
Well, it just says, it just gives me the number, the message, and then the number, and then it says diverted on rule 55, whatever that means.
It should be in the divert file in wherever the mail goes. Unfortunately, I accidentally deleted the installation that I did earlier on.
Oh.
So I can't see where mine went.
Yeah, because I added the file into choices as well. So that was in there. Wherever that went.
Where did they go? Where did they go? Files that you've downloaded should be in boot choices anti-spam.
Yeah. I just opened up the help and I just found that. Yeah, there's nothing in there.
In mail dial inbound.
No, it's empty. That's why it's not working. So what have I done?
Martin, when Pluto debatches, does it remove the files from there or does it leave them there?
No, it leaves them there.
No, it removes them from anti-spam.
Oh, from anti-spam. Okay.
It does keep copies though, doesn't it? Doesn't it automatically back up the raw dispatch files?
Yes, it keeps a copy of them, but I'm just trying to prove that they have come in from anti-spam to anti-spam.
Yes, but if Pluto has removed the raw files when it attempted to depatch, the backups of those raw files might be wherever Pluto puts them. So it might be that's the place to look to see.
Not sure. I don't normally use it set up that way myself. That's why I'm struggling. I suggest that Martin and myself communicate, and we'll see if we can sort out what's gone wrong.